At first, bolts and nuts looked like nothing more than scraps scattered across the ground. But during the Great Depression, something unusual began to happen. Children started noticing them before adults even reacted, and within days, the same places began to empty out. It was not random anymore. The pattern was always the same. Wherever these small metal parts appeared, they disappeared faster than anything else around them. Families who depended on old cars for survival slowly began to feel the impact. Small repairs failed at the worst possible moments, and every missing piece created delays that could change an entire day. No one openly admitted it, but the behavior changed everywhere. People started leaving earlier, searching longer, and moving through more areas just to stay ahead of others. Something invisible was forming, and it was already controlling how everyone acted without being seen. As time passed, bolts and nuts were no longer found by chance. People began to return to specific spots at specific times, as if the search itself had developed a rhythm. The ground was the same, but the results were not. Some areas became completely stripped, not because there was nothing left, but because timing decided who got there first. Families started adjusting their routines around this invisible pattern. Early morning became the most important part of the day. Whoever arrived first controlled what could be repaired and what had to wait. Old cars, already fragile from constant use, began breaking down faster simply because small delays in repair accumulated. And slowly, without any agreement, the search itself turned into a system of silent competition, where movement, timing, and speed mattered more than effort. By this point, searching for bolts and nuts was no longer just a daily routine. It had become a form of exchange. People began treating small metal parts as something with real value, even when no official system defined it. In some places, bolts were traded for help repairing vehicles, or for access to tools and labor. Families who once searched only for their own needs started collecting extra pieces, not knowing when they might be required. Old cars were no longer just machines in use, but sources of material that could be broken down for survival. Entire communities began operating under this unspoken rule. Nothing small was worthless anymore, and once that belief spread, every missing piece carried weight far beyond its size. The system was no longer about finding. It was about holding on to what others were already trying to take. By now, no one questioned the system anymore. What started as searching and later turned into exchange had quietly become part of everyday life. People no longer reacted to missing bolts and nuts as something unusual. It was expected. Children grew up learning where to look, when to go, and how fast they needed to move to stay ahead. Families organized their days around access, not comfort. Old cars were maintained not when they broke, but when parts could still be secured. Entire routines were built around anticipation of shortages rather than actual problems. And because of that, behavior itself began to stabilize into patterns that repeated day after day. The system was no longer visible as something new or strange. It had become normal, and anything normal stops being questioned. Years later, when the pressure of survival disappeared, the system slowly faded from daily awareness. Bolts and nuts returned to being ordinary objects again, no longer treated as something valuable on their own. But something deeper remained. The behavior did not fully vanish. People still tended to keep small spare parts, just in case something might break in the future. It became an unconscious habit passed down without explanation. Even those who never experienced the original conditions still acted the same way. Modern researchers looking back at these patterns realized that the objects were never the real story. The real story was how constant pressure reshaped decision-making at the smallest level. And once that kind of adaptation enters human behavior, it never completely disappears. It simply waits, hidden, until the next time it is needed.